give us a little insight on sort of how he fits into what you want to do there in the front court now that you lose a couple of guys from this past team?
Yeah. Well, Jacob McFarland's leg is not a normal physical recovery. I mean, there's a lot of layers, I think, to that we're going to give him space and time to um, recover from that in the ways he needs to recover. Uh, said, I look at said a lot like I did Chris Harris. When I first saw Chris, I said he's a great kid to bring in and develop. And the thing about big guys, they don't need to have great careers. They just need to have X amount of really good games to get them to their next year or their next job once they leave. And we think that Says on a good path for that. Um, but Khalifa, uh, his length, his athleticism, his activity, the fact that he's been a starter. Um, I think he understands what his role will be coming in. But that doesn't mean that's going to be his role as the season goes on. But I'm always honest with these guys about the role I think they'll play. Then they have to make the decision whether that's something they would be interested in. But I like Khalifa. I think he's a great kid, great teammate. All the feedback we had on him was positive. So um, looking forward to getting him here in June and working with him.
Kelvin, I know it's a long way from when you guys really get going for the season, but with Jacob, is it a matter of just using the months to continue the rehab, or do you foresee that he could still be behind even with those months to come in terms of the season, the start of the season?
Yeah, well, I'm not. I can't project who he may be ahead. He may be great next month. But um, when a kid has a horrific, almost traumatic injury like he did with his fracture, um, there's a lot more involved in the comeback than just the physical recovery. That John Houston is the best in the business, and he does almost 100% of the rehabs. And once that they're rehabbed and they're ready to go to the next phase, they slide over to Bishop, and then from there they slide into with their position coach, and from there they come to me. But I've been watching Jacob a lot. He's doing more and more. He didn't really do anything with us, our last regular season game was against I think we played Kansas on Monday and Baylor on Saturday. And then the next week we were at the Big 12 tournament. I think that's right. So he was doing some stuff, nothing with the team. But since we got back from San Antonio, he's he's elevated his workouts. He's done more and more and more. But when you're dealing with that kind of injury, um, you're more in a very positive, supporting, making sure he's getting what he needs, making sure he feels good about where he's at, and um, making sure he's very comfortable with the next step. So we'll just be real patient with Jacob, um, and see how it goes. But he's been cleared for everything. So now it's just a matter of his confidence and getting him comfortable.
Thank you, Joseph. We'll go to Greg Bailey with KTRK TV. Greg, please go ahead.
Kelvin, good morning. I don't know, how much time have you been able to spend with the team that just wrapped up the season, and maybe helping them feel better or great about how they accomplished so much during the season, as opposed to maybe how the season ended in a very difficult way for a lot of those guys?
Yeah, well, how we handle everything is this year is no different than any other year. We don't change anything really. I have individual meetings with every kid coming in, the kids that are leaving, JVR, J1, LJ, and Malik. I sat down. Most of them are set with their agents. A couple of them I had to help one, and obviously I know who all the agents are. Now there's some that have become NIL agents, and I encourage our guys to make sure that you have a value system. You have to have something that you value, that you're looking for, and you put your self-worth, things that are important to you. And it's not a money thing. It's like the core values of our program. You have to have values that you want in the person that's helping you. But there's always years, whether it's Justin Gorham, Malik, there's always one every year that I get involved in helping him select an agent, because I know who the good ones are that fit. And agents aren't one size.
Mark Watts South.
And agents aren't one size fits all. Just because an agent is good for player A doesn't mean he's going to be good for player D. You have to be realistic on who you are and where you think you can play, and understand your path. And just like when they come in, when I recruit them when they get here, and then they stay for whether it's 2 or 5 or 6 years, their value changes. And part of a coach is we want to add value to them. Quentin Grimes is a good example. Quentin averaged, I think, one or 2 rebounds a game at Kansas, and then the year he went in the first round, part of his value was getting his rebounding numbers up closer to 6. But that's how you add value. You go guard the other team's best player, get 6 rebounds a game, shoot 40% from the 3. Work on your body, work on your toughness, work on your resolve. All those things are important. But I meet with each player, and then we come up with a plan how to help the young man going forward. So as far as talking about that game and stuff, I really haven't talked to maybe a couple guys, but I haven't talked to the team. These guys J1 had to get ready for Portsmouth. He left to go to Portsmouth right after we got back. LJ left to go work out with his people. Milos went back to Vegas, and then he was headed somewhere else to work out with his group. Life moves, man. It's not. There's this thing's constantly moving. Whether it's meeting with Milos and where he's at, or meeting with Mercy and where he's at, Cordell, everybody's, putting together a team is in this day and age is not easy. Every coach has to go through it, and but we have our way of doing things here, and we don't change a whole lot.
Coach, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Greg. We'll go to Chris Baldwin with Paper City, Houston. Chris, please go ahead.
Hey, Kelvin.
Hey, Chris.
Jojo's already talking about he's excited to have a summer where he's not coming off surgery, and able to work. What kind of difference does that make? And what do you see as sort of the next steps for Jojo?
Well, Jojo was making great strides. one of the things that hurt us in the Florida game was when JoJo and Javier both had to sit out for, I can't remember how many minutes, but it was a big block of minutes. We're having to play J1 at the 5 and actually Malik at the 4. But if you go back and watch the last 5 minutes of that Duke game and then watch the minutes he played, I think he only got to play 12 minutes. I could be mistaken there. Don't quote me on that, but it's, when JoJo's on the floor, we're a really good team. He's able to play out of short rolls. There's so many things that he can get better at, and looking forward to just seeing his improvement and all these guys' improvement.
Thank you, Chris. We'll go to Terrence Harris with the Houston Defender. Terrence, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm good, Terrence. How about you?
I'm good. Along the lines of you were talking a little bit about agents, and I'm working on a story looking at the NIL and talking to schools about just kind of how they help young people manage, there's in some cases, a huge influx of money. Do you have
Financial literacy is the word you're looking for.
Yes. And do you guys, how
Yes.
much do you guys assist with that?
A lot, a ton. We do a Zoom call with the parents. Some parents don't understand dollars and cents and how this applies to the American economy. There's a thing about living in these United States that we're all governed by a term called tax laws. So if I said, I'm going to give you $100 in NIL money to come here, you do understand that that's going to be taxed. And so don't look at me 6 months later and say, nobody told me about that. Well, nobody told you that we're in the United States and that all money is subject to tax laws, whether it's W-2s or 1099s, but we have to educate them on that. That wasn't part of the deal 5 years ago, but it is now. I've had discussions with whether it's Lincoln Cooks or part of his house settlement, that some of these kids are going to be making more money than they will at any job the rest of their lives. And being able to, the positive is that when they do leave here and they go on to the next phase of their lives, they will have already been educated and able to make decisions on whether it's federal tax, state tax, local tax, whatever it is, things that kids would never have thought of. You have to think of those things for them. But every school does this. That's part of being a coach now. Before, you coach this and coach that, like all coaches do, but now that stuff you're talking about, we've been doing that for 3 years, Hoss.
Yeah. But how challenging is it for these young people to
have to ask them that. I can't answer a question for them. You'd have to get Jeff to get one of these guys in front of you and ask him those questions.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
You betcha.
Thank you, Terrence. We'll go to Alejandro Compan from the Cougar, please. Alejandro, please go ahead.
Good morning, Coach.
How you pronounce your last name? I'm sure Jeff screwed it up.
Yeah, it's Compan. It's kind of hard.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
And it's all good.
It's Alejandro Compan.
Yes, sir. You got it.
I like that. That's a good name. Alejandro Compan.
Thank you, Coach. Anyways, my question was...
I'm not done with your name there.
All right.
Pronounce your last name again.
Compan.
Yeah, sounds better when you say it.
You'll get there, I'm sure. But anyways, my question was just looking ahead to next season, going back to that 18-game conference schedule. What are your thoughts on that, and maybe just the more balance you would have again between games?
Well, that's all we've ever had is an 18-game conference season. So it's not like the this is something new. The 20-game schedule was something new. So, you know, when you have a 16-team conference, you're going to have an unbalanced schedule, which means not everybody's 20 games were the same as somebody else's. Like if you take the top 4 teams in the league, Houston, Texas Tech, Arizona, I don't remember who finished 4th, but just say 5, Kansas and Iowa State, just say 5. So if you're one of those 5 teams, that means you're going to play the other 4 teams twice. So if you're a team in the middle of the conference or toward the bottom half of the conference, there's a good chance you're not playing those 5 teams twice. So there's somebody in the middle of the conference that's going to get a break in the schedule, and that your now 18 games are not going to look the same as somebody else's 18 games. But that's why it's an unbalanced schedule. The conference commissioner and the basketball associate commissioner, when they take the schedule, they're gonna take the top teams, have them play each other twice, and give those games to either CBS or ESPN or ESPN2, because those are the games that people want to see, and the TV people want to market. But this year, I think the biggest difference, obviously, will be the bye games. If you had an injury this year, it can be the difference in making the tournament or not making the tournament. Because if let's say you had a kid that had a high ankle sprain, those things take a little bit longer to recover from, but he may be out 3 weeks. Well, this year, that would have been at least 6 games. You're only playing 20. And if he's your best player or one of your 3 best players, inevitably somebody's going to say, well, coach, you're really struggling right now. What seems to be the problem? You do realize that your best player is still out with that sprained ankle. There's the problem. There is no other problem. It's hard to win a game without your best players. So with the 18-game schedule, you have buys that are built in. And I do think that's better for the players. We have this term that NCAA created that they seem to have forgotten. It's called student athlete welfare. And as a coach, you're always conscious of it, but you deal with what's been put on your plate. So I think it'll be a better brand of basketball. I think teams get wore down during the season. It affects the way you practice, affects your preparation, it affects everything. Then it becomes a really long season. This was a really long season with the 20 games. Going to 18 games next year, I think the biggest thing there is you have a bye somewhere in that schedule where your kids are able to take maybe a couple of days off and recover.
Thank you, Alejandro. We'll go to Chancellor Johnson, please. Chancellor, please go ahead.
Hey, Kelvin, how are you?
What do you say, Chancellor?
Hey, as you mentioned earlier, life does go on, programs go on, but how did things sit with you days after as you reflected on everything you and the program poured into the grind of the season, how hard it is to get there, maybe where you're at in your career, and to get so close and ultimately have to start this thing all over again?
Well, I've started over 37 times. So that is, I mean, it doesn't say anywhere in your contract where you get to go sit in a room and close the blinds and sulk. We lost Monday night, got back to our hotel late. I talked with our staff, made sure we knew what time the bus was leaving Tuesday morning. We got on the bus and we as J1 was saying as he was passing me, seniors tend to be a little emotional. I mean, it's all they've known since high school. But you take your last bus ride from San Antonio to back to the Fertitta Center or Guy V. Lewis. But I want to say this, and I don't know that I've done a good enough job making sure that our fans thank them enough, whether it's the coming and going from practices in the hotel lobby, going up to our meeting space on the third floor, walking through the lobby, going up the escalator, getting to the third floor. The space was just draped. I mean, Cougar fans, and that makes our players feel good. You know that you're in a place where it's a big game. Our fans are excited. We had unbelievable support. I mean, we were just coming back from practice, and it's like we just came back from a game. And, as a coach, you're kind of locked in and focused on your preparation and making sure everybody's in the right headspace to play in the Final Four. But man, our fans, our Cougar fans, they were everywhere. I had people calling, whether it was me or Kellen or Lauren or Bill Worrell texting me saying he just stopped at Buc-ee's and the place just broke out into a who's house. So those are just great stories. I really appreciate that. That's but these kids deserve that too. I mean, we were sad and we were upset that we lost, but look at where we lost. With 2 minutes, we're a play here or play there, or Javier and Jojo not getting in foul trouble, here or there from a chance to win the national championship, knocking on the door right there. Great opportunity. But I don't want people to lose sight of the fact that the journey that this team took, whether it's going 19-1 in the regular season, 10-0 on the road. I don't know how many times that's happened in history, but going 19-1 in this league, and you look up at BYU's in the Sweet 16, Arizona's in the Sweet 16, Texas Tech's in the Elite Eight with a great opportunity to go to the Final Four. Houston, it shows you the strength of this conference. And then, from starting a conference tournament, we had to beat Colorado to get to BYU. We had to beat BYU to get to Arizona. We had to beat Arizona to cut the nets down. And then we come back, Selection Sunday. We're a 1 seed. We find out we're playing SIU-E. So now we got to beat SIU-E to get to Gonzaga. Got to beat Gonzaga to get to beat, who do we play next? Purdue. Then we go to Indianapolis and play Purdue. That speaks for itself. We got to beat Purdue to get to Tennessee. So now we've won 4 games: SIU-E, Gonzaga, Purdue, Tennessee, which is a really, really, really hard road to have to get to the Final Four. Now you're playing against a team that's probably playing as good as anybody in the country. A great team, great program, player of the year in college basketball, and Cooper Flagg. Find a way to win in the best, and probably the best Cougar way ever. It's just finding a way to win the game. So I say that because sometimes we focus on the last game without putting it in proper context. Sometimes we don't give the team the credit that they deserve because we're so focused on the last game and the last play. This was an unbelievable journey. amazing journey with an amazing group of coaches and support staff, and more importantly, unbelievable kids. I always talk about the character of our players. Well, that's reflected in being able to coach your team. And I tell our kids every year, if I've got to come down these stairs and I've got to coach attitude and effort, then that tells you that we have no chance to be successful. So unless you have the right attitude and you give the right effort and you understand that. Now, some of them don't understand it, but that's what June, July, and August is for. So by the time you get to September and October, you're able to coach basketball. And I appreciate that. That team we ran out there every game, Milos, LJ, Emmanuel, Wani, and Joe, as character-wise as good as it gets. And then when you add Terrence Arsenault, Malik Wilson, Javier Francis, Mercy, Said, Jacob, Cordell, Chase. I might have been the most blessed coach in America, coaching a team that no matter how many minutes they play, whether they even play at all, our practices the next day is a championship practice. And if you want to have a championship team, it starts in practice. You've got to learn to practice like champions. And this team did that. So as the days go on, as the months go on, these kids will reflect. But you guys can control a lot of that narrative too by giving these kids their flowers on what they've accomplished this year, because they did a lot. It's hard to make the tournament. Don't sit there and roll your eyes about making the tournament. Don't do that. It's hard to make the tournament. And this group of kids accomplished so much, and I cannot tell you how proud I am of this team and how proud I am of our fan base. Because we may not have won that last game, but we had a championship year.
Thank you, Chancellor. We'll go to Manav Gupta from College Basketball Review. Manav, please go ahead, sir.
Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Good morning.
Emmanuel, after the game, unfortunately, had gotten some bad messages on social media. But what can you say about how important Emmanuel was to this run and what a key player he was to get to Monday night?
Well, Emmanuel's one of the best shooters in America. He proved that all year. I met with Emmanuel's mother and father, and I met with Emmanuel, and I reminded everybody that it's really important to not let other people define who you are, because look at who's trying to define you, and that's why you draw the line. Whether it's bettors or haters or you're always going to have somebody saying something negative. That's kind of what the new age thing is. Everybody's trying to latch on to something and create opportunities for themselves, and some guys want to be the loudest guy in the room or the smartest guy in the room, and you wind up seeing who can holler the loudest after the last game. But I think I've always done a pretty good job of getting our kids to focus on the people that matter. And the only people that matter are your family and your team.